Welcome to our panel, Charlie Hurt, Ben Domenech, Kellyanne Conway. Charlie, just in the past few minutes at the Pentagon, General Mark Milley's portrait was removed from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs Hall. There's now, he, of course, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that portrait was put up 10 days ago, rather, and he was pardoned today by President Biden.
Yeah, so I guess Joe Biden's pardon did not extend to protecting his portrait in that hallway. It's going to be an interesting 4 years, and I think that we were reminded of this with that what I thought was a marvelous speech, where the campaign was not a joke. Yet again, he meant what he said, and he walked in that room, and anybody that spent time in the rotunda knows that it's a magnificent place. It's an awesome place. You can work there for 10 years, and every time you walk through it, it's kind of breathtaking. And you walk in there, and that speech was not designed for the people in that room. That speech was designed for people across the country. And I loved what Jessica said earlier, talking about the number of people that voted for Joe Biden the first time who were open to Trump this time. Trump's still selling. He's got an audience, and he peppered his speech with his policy positions because he still thinks he can win those people over. And I think that that's what we saw today. He thinks that he can, he's going to continue making the sale for his policy proposals. And it obviously worked in the election. And I think that he thinks, and if you look at polling right now about where people feel about the country, I think that there really is room to grow for him.
Kellyanne, your thoughts as you listen to this speech? And last time around, you were very instrumental in the campaign and worked at the White House under President Trump. So your thoughts as you hear that the new staffers are moving in and that they're getting to work?
I'm delighted. I've heard from a number of them, including Alina Habba, who apparently has my old office and my old title. So best of luck to her. I love in President Trump's speech that he just goes for the legacy, because that's a question I've been getting often. What will be his legacy? What does he want everybody to know after these 8 years with the 4-year interruption in between the hiccup? He said today he wants his legacy to be peacemaker and unifier. Now, people can chuckle at that, but the burden of proof for Donald Trump has always been higher than almost anyone else. Barack Obama went and collected the Nobel Peace Prize as a peacemaker in Oslo before he even took office. We just assumed he would be a peacemaker. So when President Trump actually says this is his goal for a legacy, he's going to think about that every single day, Martha, while he's doing energy security, which also looks as national security and sovereignty, while he's doing the border, while he's resolving the conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. This is important to him. The other thing I wanted to say today is when I walked in the White House for the first time, it really is very daunting. It's very special. But every single day I worked there, I knew something that I don't think we knew the last 4 years, which is back now, which is who's in charge? Who's actually the president? Big question everybody in America has been asking for 4 years. Who's actually running the White House? Who's in the Oval? Who's the president? They were doubtful that Joe Biden actually was doing that. They were doubtful that Kamala Harris could do it. There's never a doubt as to who the president of the United States is when Donald Trump's behind the Resolute desk.
Also, Ben, just in the past few minutes, there's video coming from the borders. The port of entry in El Paso shut down, and there's action on border ports of entry. There's stuff happening, and these executive orders and actions will be a flurry throughout the day.
Well, the most significant portion of the executive orders, from my perspective, all have to do with the border and immigration. Obviously, there's going to be a legal fight kicked off right off the bat when it comes to the birthright citizenship issue. And I think that you're going to see legal issues play out in regards to a number of the other steps that he takes. I'm very gratified, frankly, that he's done something that I think should have been done a very long time ago, which is to acknowledge the degree to which Mexican cartels represent a clear and present danger to the American people, and identifying them as terrorist organizations is going to trigger a ton of things as it relates to law enforcement and the like. But one thing about that speech, regardless of what was being said by President Trump, the mood in that rotunda has to be one of the most unique and tense ones, I think, that we've ever seen for a speech, especially given the flurry of pardons that we came into the day with, including, obviously, Anthony Fauci, including Mark Milley, and members of Joe Biden's family. I know that when they canceled the Reagan outside inauguration and moved it indoors, it was because it was 7 degrees outside. It was 28 degrees outside when the president started speaking. I think it was colder than that inside that rotunda in terms of the chilly atmosphere. The outgoing administration, their relationship internally between the Bidens and the Harrises, and the relationship with Nancy Pelosi, which we saw playing out in Jill Biden's recent interview. There is so much tension between the political class on the Democratic side and on the Republican side. This is so much more unity than we saw when he came in 2017, a much more unified leadership of the Republican coalition.
Well, not to mention that the beginning of that speech was pretty brutal. It was almost like in-your-face Harold on the 5. I mean, it was really there.
He was giving it, yes, he was giving the speech, imagining Harold on the other receiving end of it.
I know. Someone said before that, the audience was outside the room, and I thought, except for those first 2 seats behind him and on the left, he was clearly addressing, very much in the similar way to the first inaugural speech that he gave, what he saw as an honest assessment of what we all need to face in terms of what the problems are in the country and how to address them. I do want to go back, Jessica, to what Ben was just referring to. Were you surprised when you heard that just 15 minutes before this got underway, Joe Biden pardoned the members of his own family? And why was that necessary?
I did think that we were done for the day with the first batch with Fauci and the January 6th committee members. So it was a bit of a surprise. And obviously that it's going on at the same time that we're watching the Bidens, right? That they're greeting the Trumps and we're having this moment. And I did think that the Bidens behaved brilliantly and they were so polite. I mean, welcome home, welcome back. It's pretty generous, right? Considering everything that's gone on between the two families. So I was surprised by that. But I do think that at core, and it was central to both of Trump's candidacies and a lot of the people that he's going to be putting in positions of power, specifically Kash Patel, that they are into retribution. And Donald Trump proved out Joe Biden's point about the pardons when he got into the overflow room, which was still full of pretty big deal folks like governors of major states. And he starts going off on Liz Cheney, talking about January 6th again. And we know what he thinks about the Biden corruption family. We know what he thinks of the Hunter Biden pardon. And I think that Joe Biden wanted to make sure if I'm leaving, especially under these frosty conditions, in a fight with basically everybody, that I'm going to protect those people that are closest to me for whatever might come down their way over the course of the next 4 years.
These preemptive pardons, though, I mean, generally it's when after someone's been sentenced or even done time. It's another blanket. Hunter, his brothers, his sister, her husband. But for what? I mean, if I were one of them, I'd be saying, wait, why are you pardoning me? I didn't do anything wrong.
Well, that's what Adam Kinzinger said. Right? He said, I don't want to pardon. Adam Schiff said the same thing. This implies that we've done something wrong.
This could have set a new precedent, because who is going to be in office and say, well, Biden did it. I might as well cover everybody in case they have some problems.
I just don't think with Trump that precedent really matters in this. Donald Trump's going to do whatever Donald Trump wants to do. And Joe Biden was saying there are people coming in to massive positions of power who do not live by the same rules as the rest of us. Now, I'm not passing judgment myself of whether I think it was a good idea. I was shocked by it, and everybody that I know was.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.